So, it's safe to say that Bleach has had a generational comeback. Between its amazing fights, incredible music, and its ever fascinating story, Bleach's Thousand Year Blood War arc continues to show why the series deserves its spot as one of the big three of anime. However, all good things must come to an end, such as the series. I'm gonna be honest, it's going to be pretty strange not having this anime around that I've been watching for close to a decade. I mean, it's just gonna vanish, and it concludes the story at the end of this year. And as such, I wanted to do something a bit different, both for this channel and then also in terms of like what I've seen other Bleach YouTubers do. In this video, I wanted to go over the top 10 best anime original moments in the show. I will be looking at this from the eyes of someone who has already read the manga. As such, this list will probably vary from most, but I would be interested in hearing what you guys' top 10 moments are. But with that out of the way, let's get started.
死に怯え束の間の生に執着する民の怨嗟を私は知っている。
Okay, so I'm already kind of a liar, but when I was making this list, there were so many different anime exclusive moments to choose from. So many, in fact, that I had to throw in a few honorable mentions, with this being one of them. When I first started playing this episode, I was really concerned that the animators would extend Squad Zero battle. I was just so terrified that my vision was just so focused on that, wasn't even thinking about anything else that could happen. And then I saw this being the first scene of this episode, and immediately, like, I was surprised. And I was also delighted as well. We got to see Yuabaha and Ichibei sitting down and having a talk with each other, which was not on my list of things that I was expecting to see, but hey, I wasn't going to complain about it. We get to see just these two superpowers, like different ideologies clashing with each other. Ichibei is trying to put Yuabaha in his place, trying to like settle him down a bit. Yuabaha is not having that though. And I just think it's a great scene. I think it's a great addition. Not quite great enough in my opinion to make my top 10, but I think it deserves its honorable mention. So, round 2 of Ichigo versus Uryu is a weird one. It's featured in the manga, but it is very, very brief and does not have half of the stuff that this version of the fight has, such as Uryu's Volshin dig. Not to mention, getting to see Uryu surviving the Yaos Phelan, seeing his grandpa still serving as an inspiration, and just the overall fight in general was very sweet. However, it is a very short and sweet battle, which is probably what keeps it from being in the top 10. Also, as a slight aside, I think they did a great job of showing and not telling the still massive gulf between Ichigo and Uryu at this point. I mean, in their first battle, we can clearly see Ichigo's like trying not to hurt Uryu. He's really restraining himself, but by the time this rematch occurs, he is done playing around, and I think the animators did just an amazing job of expressing that. This, in a lot of ways, is the exact opposite of the previous entry. It's not a battle, and it's extremely long. However, it cannot be understated how massively they added to his character before they sent him to his death. Plus, the time and the care to actually write and to completely animate Ukitaki's upbringing was completely like unseen, and it was very thoughtful, and it deserves praise. But why is it not higher then? Well, for me personally, I think that Ukitaki's story is not done. I truly believe that based on the ending of the last core, we haven't seen the last of him, and it seems like this fusion of Mimihagi and Ukitake might have further plans.
13体で物足りんのやったらバイザードがほんまもんの奇跡見したるわ
Okay, this is gonna be controversial, but hear me out. The Vizards have been getting done dirty for so long. In the manga, they get completely trashed in this arc, and they never get a single moment to shine. In the anime, it was mostly the same for a while. Things like Shinji getting blasted by Bambietta, or Rose getting shot through the chest by Mask because Rose is an idiot. Manga readers were genuinely dreading going to Varvel and seeing another repeat of history. But instead, we got something very different. Rather than being taken out in seconds, we saw all the Visored grouped together, Aura Farm, and stand in defiance of Gerard. I was watching this particular episode with a friend, and I actually jumped out of this chair because I was so shocked and I was so happy to see what I was seeing. I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, this was really happening. The Visors were finally getting their moment. I can just only hope that this isn't just to get our hopes up and then have them get one shot by Gerard in like a minute at the start of like core 4. Right? That's not what you're gonna do, right, Kubo? Please, Kubo, please. I beg, please don't do that. So this once again is probably gonna feel like an odd pick, but this was one of the first anime original fights in, well, the Thousand Year Blood War anime, so I think it deserves its credit. This episode in general is honestly probably one of the worst animation and artwork wise in the entirety of this arc. However, there is one silver lining in this whole episode, and it was this fight. I'm just gonna be upfront with it. This specific fight probably took the entirety of the budget for that was dedicated to this episode, because everything else kind of looks like a slideshow in comparison. This fight is incredibly fluid. It shows great character development on Ichigo's part, how much stronger he's gotten, but also on the flip hand, it showed off for the first time I think that we ever saw like what an advanced Volscian dig would like, and then also gave a bunch of the Bambis new abilities that we've never seen or even heard of before. I mean, it does eventually swap back to the like a scene from the manga with Candace, but for the time that we got to see the three Bambis fighting against Ichigo, it was really a true spectacle. It is at this point in the video where we start to take a bit of a jump in the, let's say, the intensity of these anime exclusive scenes. Irazu Sando was such a curveball in what manga readers were expecting from Ichigo's training. But of course, like with context from the light novels and eventually when it came out, Core 3, Ichigo's journey down Irazu Sando makes plenty of sense. It takes place through several episodes, which, I mean, to be completely honest, was pretty boring for the first half. It was essentially just Ichigo walking down a path which seemed to never end, while his sword grew ever heavier. I mean, to be totally honest, it kind of seems like they were drawing a few parallels from Goku flying down Snake Way. But the latter half, the two episodes, the last two episodes where it's featured, that's where things get to start to be really interesting. You get to see the Soul King's eyes reflected upon Ichigo's eyes, which I know when when I saw that for the first time, I was like, "Oh, that's that's something new." Very interesting. I was very intrigued. I was hooked. And then, of course, the big like grand finale of Irazu Sando was Ichigo almost blowing up like a balloon, which was both cool and very, very ominous. And at the end of it all, we set up for future foreshadowing with Senjumaru, and perhaps this remains to be seen. Even more foreshadowing that has yet to come. Ichigo and Yuhaba's rematch had been a highly anticipated fight that both the manga and anime only fans have been waiting to play out ever since their first encounter. And boy, did the anime deliver. New and clever dialogue, same music choice reflecting their first match, and the cinematography all to help to make this feel like a battle of two titans. In contrast to the first match that they had, Ichigo completely dominates Yuabaha, They go through a very similar fight up until Yubaha casts Qualkrice again. That's when Ichigo gets serious and smashes the Quincy King spell and launches his Getsuga Juji Show at Yubaha and completely wipes him out. Seeing Ichigo finally triumph over Yubaha after his training was just super satisfying to see, and to be honest, Ichigo's never looked more badass in his entire life. However, all of this is just a sham because Yubaha completely flips the script and activates the Almighty, and in turn completely decimates Ichigo and just sends him flying all over the royal palace. It's not the longest fight in the show, or even in this arc, but this rematch was worth it, 100%, and I don't think I'm alone in that thought. So, unlike the last entry, this one was pretty unexpected. In Core 2, when Senjumaru trapped Uryu and everyone else in her Bankai, people had no idea how this fight was going to conclude. And as it would turn out, it would be Uryu awakening his Quincy powers and challenging Senjumaru in her own domain. This battle quite literally had me at the edge of my seat the entire time. But the real excitement was, of course, when Uryu was activating the precursor to his own Volshindig. At that point, gonna be honest, I had gotten on my feet. But of course, it was only a tease for what was going to happen eventually. Once Uryu tapped into his pseudo Volshindig, Uryu then uses his new Quincy powers to tramp Senjumaru in her own Bankai and kill her. And I think that's probably the main reason why this battle ranks so highly on this list. It's one thing to have the resolve and will to go through, to beat Senjumaru and to betray your friends, everything that you know. But to go so far as kill a royal guard member, it proves how strong Uryu's gotten, and it's also proven how just strong his will is and how deep he's willing to go undercover to stop Yuabaha. How could I not put this on the list? I mean, by this point in the series, we had already had a couple of anime original scenes, but this was the first one that caught fans off guard. I remember right before this episode came out that Kupo had posted the character designs for the Gote 13 members, the original ones. And I remember thinking, huh, that's cool. I mean, it's cool that they're not just going to be shadows anymore. Because for context, in the manga, they were just like shadowy figures. And they were in there for like a panel. So, you know, a lot of people were kind of like, does this mean they're going to extend the fight? We don't really know. I mean, it's nice that they have the character designs. We're kind of like cautiously optimistic. And I mean, we were rewarded because come to find out, turn on the episode for that day, and man, was that crazy. We saw we not only saw the original Gote 13 in their full glory, we saw them just completely massacre all of the Quincy in sight. I mean, we got to see the brutality of the original Gote 13 in firsthand. And I mean, yeah, I was completely for it. I was just stunned. I was in awe that we were seeing this. And now, I admit that, like, if Kubo hadn't posted that artwork, it probably would have been more surprising, and quite honestly, might have made it higher on this list. But the fact that it's made it this high, even like the minor spoilers of, hey, these guys are going to be in the next episode, I think it's just a testament to show like how truly this one moment in the anime shook things up. All I can say about this fight is, my god, you take the length of Ukitaki's backstory and make it into an all-new battle. Whoever pitched this idea needs a raise, because from start to finish, this battle literally had me on my feet. I remember watching this on this TV, in fact, and I was like, as soon as the music started playing and they were throwing attacks at each other, I was literally standing up and I couldn't sit down. I was just I was completely invested. Totally forgot I was standing up. It was just an incredible fight. I mean, what more can I say? Seeing Renji unleashes new Bankai on Uryu and just completely leveling portions of Varvelt was just amazing. I mean, Renji is like almost gleeful doing it the entire time. He's finally getting his moment to shine. I mean, who can blame him for like smiling a little and completely destroying Uryu? But I mean, this is of course kind of a facade because Uryu unleashes like the first part of his Volstendig where he just has the wings. And at that point, the battle becomes much more uphill for Renji. I mean, he's really struggling against Uryu at this point, but with a few more new attacks and techniques, including a new ultimate ability, which is just big nuke, he manages to take out Uryu once again and knock him back on his ass. But once again, it's a facade because Uryu, as we know, has one more stage to his Volstendig, his fully powered. And as soon as he unleashes that, it's just over for Renji. And it's almost like he doesn't stand a chance. One, because he's just exhausted himself, but also because he didn't finish Renji off when he had the chance. And I mean, that was ultimately the cause of his almost death. Which, by the way, for similar reasons to the Senjimaru battle, that's exactly why this one ranks so high. Completely anime original, super long, completely action packed the entire time. It has Uryu on yet another killing spree with with, with him killing Renji or killing Renji, I guess. I mean, it was just incredible to see. I couldn't believe that's what I was watching. I couldn't believe that was Bleach. It was just, I mean, even talking about it now, I was just completely in shock. And I mean, to be honest, I still am. So this is one that fans have been waiting for since the end of Core 1. And I remember people thinking that we were going to go see them fight in Core 2. I mean, of course, that didn't happen. But you could tell if this fight was between them was ever drawing closer. And I mean, that intro for Core 3 played, and we knew that they were actually going to have a full-on fight. And that battle eventually came, and when it did, the anime went hard. Seeing Uryu fighting Ichigo, like, essentially using his bare hands, or I guess arrows, bare arrows, was something that we had not really seen before. Their initial class, yeah, their initial clash is fluid and very well done, with Ichigo trying not to hurt Uryu. Of course, Uryu is firing upon Ichigo, only to find that Ichigo is using Blute Vein. I mean, just listen to that. That one sentence was already like, just whoa. Never thought I'd hear that before. That sounds like something that's just coming out straight out of a fan fiction. And I mean, honestly, that moment alone, all of that fight, probably would have been like a minute at most. Could have made up the entirety of that battle, and I don't think people would have complained because that was way more than we ever got in the manga. But the anime decided to just turn the dial straight to 11 because once Ichigo has Uryu pinned, Uryu just says, nah, and decides to pull out his new trump card, a complete Volstendig, which, again, is anime original. And after this fight, it's just, like I said, the dial gets turned up to 11. There's explosions happening everywhere. Uryu's flying around his new drones that he has, Zenbone Sakura style. Ichigo's dodging both like the actual drones and the bolts that they're firing as well. They both unleash their like most powerful attacks they've got in their arsenal right now. Ichigo's still really trying to get through to Uryu. Uryu's just not listening. And because Ichigo is still just trying to get to Uryu, that's what causes him to get a chunk blasted out of the side of him. Ichigo loses this fight to Uryu. That's just insane. That is absolutely insane and totally different than what we got in the manga. And I don't think people were expecting Uryu to outright win against Ichigo like that. And I mean, there's a reason why it's this high up on the list. And I just think the complete shock of that just is a testament to why it deserves 3. And I mean, if this doesn't deserve the number 3 spot, bleh. If this doesn't deserve the number 3 spot, I have no idea what does.
Good morning, everybody! My body!
If there was one thing that people wanted more than Ichigo versus Uryu in the anime, it was this fight. Way before animation production started, and right when this fight had just ended, well, fight had ended in the manga, people were already asking for it to be, like, redone. Like, they couldn't believe that this fight I even hesitate to call it a fight, happened the way it did in the manga. I mean, it was just completely off-screened. They decimate one side, the other side gets decimated, end of fight. There's nothing. It is completely off-screen, it's completely unsatisfying. And people were I'm not even joking, people were literally praying that it would get fixed when the anime eventually got announced. And quite frankly, they were absolutely dreading coming to the part where to this part to this part of the story where the Schutzstaffel, the Royal Guard, would be fighting Squad Zero. And I remember thinking at first, because one of the parts that happens is that Oetsu gets shot through the chest and it pretty much dies. That happens in the anime, and I remember thinking, "Oh my god, they didn't listen to people. They're not gonna do it. History's gonna repeat itself." And like my heart sank. I was like, in that brief moment, I was devastated. The lines kept playing out the same. I was like, "Oh, they're gonna cut away any second now. It's gonna be awful." And then they jump up into the air, and Senjumaru starts healing Oetsu, and all of my hopes came rushing back in, and I had, like, the smile I got on my face right now was pretty much the smile I had when that scene happened. And then the actual fight begins. And it's short, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure people would have wanted more, but we didn't get anything before, and now here we are getting an actual fight, and Senshimaro slapping around Gerard, and Oetsu dancing around and trying to catch, what's his name? Askin. And or not Oetsu, uh, Tenjiro attacking Askin. And we just have all these people fighting each other, and it's amazing. The amount of excitement that was built up for this fight was completely matched, and there was just no way anything else was gonna beat that. I mean, this was the thing that people wanted most. I mean, what more could people ask for? What else could they do at this point that would satisfy fans?
心せよ挽回
Absolute cinema, peak fiction. As soon as I heard the words Bankai come from the mouth of Senjumaru, I lost my mind. It was completely out of left field from an episode that had already delivered on so much in my eyes. And not only did they give her a Bankai of all things, but they gave her one so strong it shook the 3 worlds and needed the other 3 members of the Squad Zero to kill or to sacrifice themselves. And and it was strong enough to trap all the Quincy's currently up there aside from Yubaha. Like, my excitement was already, like, at its highest point by the time the Squad Zero fight was getting started. Hit the ceiling at that roof. I was, like, very excited, very pleased, very happy, very satisfied with how that fight was going. She said Bankai, and my excitement just shot through the roof. It was just, like, I hadn't felt that excited during watching an episode of Bleach at that point, and I haven't felt that level of excitement since. I was completely shocked. I yelled. I screamed because I could not believe what was happening in front of my eyes, and I think that it deserves number 1 for me. It has to go in number 1 for me because nothing else has gotten me that excited since. Alright, well, there you have it. That was my top 10. I hope you guys enjoy the ranking, and if you have thoughts, I would love to hear them in the comments below. I mean, this is just me, like, trying to explore, try new formatting, see how things go. I've been a Bleach fan for such a long time, and this is, like, gonna be my first, like, major video of Bleach ever since, like, the Brave Souls, but even then, this is a completely new departure even for me, and I know it's gonna be completely out of left field for a lot of people who expected me to just be gaming, but I'm just kinda trying to branch out a little bit, seeing, like, what I can do. I hope this is really good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.